If you've clicked on this video, here's where I think you're at. You're probably feeling really sick of your job. You may be dreading going into work every day, going to sleep like, oh God, I just don't want to wake up tomorrow. You're feeling stagnant and stuck, and you're not actually making any real progress that's meaningful to you. But at the same time, you're not even motivated to put in that energy to progress further. You know you want to find a job that energizes you and excites you, but you genuinely have like no idea where to start. Well, my friend, I've been there, I've been in your exact same position, and I've made this video specifically for you. I've learned the hard way by spending pretty much half of my life trying to be a doctor. And then once I got there, deciding, actually, this is not for me, I want to do something else. So I'm going to give you 8 steps that you can do today to help you figure out what job or career you want to go into next and how you can get started to actually get in there. So the first thing you're going to do is sit down and think about, what do you actually want your day-to-day to look like? Do you want a job that allows you to work from home, or do you want a job that allows you to work remotely, where you can literally work from any country in the world at any time? Or will a day like that feel too lonely for you? Might you want to go into the office a couple of times a week? Do you only want to go into the office to separate your work life from your personal life? Do you want something in between where you can work from home, but you also are able to work from a co-working space with other people? Would you prefer to be up on your feet, walking around, doing physical things all day? Do you want to work mostly alone? Do you want to work mostly with people? Do you like to have lots of meetings and work with your team really closely? Or do you hate meetings like me and just want to do your work and sit down and power through it? These are all the sorts of things that you need to think about, because you're trying to map out what your day-to-day looks like, and you want to map out something that actually makes you feel excited and energized. Because if you say to yourself, oh, I'm going to pick this career, but actually I know it has a lot of meetings involved and I hate meetings, then you're not doing yourself a favor. If you're going to become a product manager and half your day, every single day, is filled with just meeting after meeting after meeting, and you can't sit down and do your work, then is that really the right path for you? Just try to think a little bit more carefully about what your day-to-day tasks and your lifestyle might look like. If you don't want to be indoors all the time, then maybe you should be looking for something that allows you to be in nature more often. You really need to have a clear understanding of this, because this will be the foundation of what you choose to do next. And the next step is basically to assess the different industries and sectors that you could potentially go into. What you want to do here is make a list of the industries and sectors that you definitely know you don't want to go into, and the industries and sectors that you actually find quite interesting. And try not to overthink this. Don't think about, oh, but what if this, or what, I'm not qualified enough, or blah, blah, blah. At the moment, you're just exploring your options, what you like, what you don't like. It's not that deep. If you have no idea about industries, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Google. Just go to ChatGPT and ask it, or him or her, I'm not quite sure, to list a couple of industries or sectors, and you can use that list and ask it to just repeat it over and over again, basically until you feel like you have a good understanding of what kind of industries you don't want to go into and what kind of industries you might like to go into. So for example, maybe you never want to work in the oil and gas industry, maybe you never want to work in research, maybe you never want to work with governments. That's already massively narrowing down lots of things that you don't want to do. And that's usually a really good place to start, because once you know what you don't want to do, it helps clear the path for what you might want to do instead. And remember, this is all about trying to find something that genuinely excites you and energizes you, as opposed to making you feel like, I have to just do this because this seems like the next logical step. No, we're going to pick something that makes you feel super excited. So you have your list of industries you don't want, and you have a list of industries that you're curious about. Maybe the tech sector. Oh, what about the fashion sector? I've always been interested in that. I've always wanted to look into that. Don't overthink it. Don't think, oh my God, but it's too much, I can't be a fashion designer. No. Just the industry. Once you've got your list of industries that you are curious about, the next step is to call in our favorite AI assistant, ChatGPT. Go to ChatGPT and write this exact paragraph. Hi, ChatGPT. I'm thinking of making a career change. These are my requirements. And in here, you're going to add your list of things that you do want and don't want in your day-to-day work. I'm specifically looking at working in X industry. Please list 10 job roles with descriptions and a bullet point list of daily tasks for each description to help me decide which new job role may be suitable for me. And then end it with, I have X years of experience as a, and then insert your job role. It really doesn't need to be perfect. You don't need to list out every single thing that you've written, but just pick the things that you feel like are the most important and the most relevant, and use use that as a guide to help you get started with ideating and seeing what's actually out there. Because the choices are overwhelming, but also you don't realize how many choices are out there and how you could probably craft a career to really look how you want it to look, because we just have so much privilege of choice these days. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say it's going to be an easy path, or that you're not going to have to do any extra training, or that you're not going to have to do anything difficult to actually get there. You probably will. It's just the way that the world works. But in comparison, isn't that actually a better route than waking up every day absolutely hating your life and dreading every single day? So once you've done that, ChatGPT will return a list of 10 roles for you, and it could look something like this. Then we move on to step number 4. Read through this list, and whatever doesn't inspire you, cross it off. On the side of that, make a list of all the roles that seem interesting to you and that are sparking some sort of intrigue. If none of them seem interesting, or you just want more ideas, just ask ChatGPT, can you give me another extra 10 roles? Repeat this until you have a list of like 4 or 5 job roles that really spark a lot of interest and intrigue and excitement within you. You're going to ask ChatGPT to make a list of free online intro courses that you can take for each specific job role. These courses should really be intro courses, and I really stress that they should probably be free. I don't want you to put in any money at this stage, because you're still in the exploration stage. You're still not sure quite what these job roles involve, if you would be interested in them or not. So don't put in any money, try and find some free courses. If ChatGPT isn't returning the results you want, then just switch to Google and try and find some courses on there. If you can't find a course, try and find creators in that space, or try and find articles. Just try and get a sense of what that actual job role involves. But ideally, you're going to want to do a course. So once you found that short course, you're going to have to actually do it. Please don't waste all that effort. Sign up to a course and then never do it. This is one of the most important parts. You need to feel how it is to do the tasks that are involved in that job role that you're looking for. The shorter these initial courses are, the better, because honestly, at this stage, you're probably really drained, you're really exhausted, you're just trying to figure out what's interesting. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with having to do this, this, and that. You're just trying to get an idea of what's interesting and what's not. So you start doing the courses, but, and this is extremely important, you are not going to do these courses passively. You need to try and implement the tasks that you're learning in the course as immediately as you can, even if it's in the smallest way. So let's say, for example, you want to be a marketing manager. What you need to do is really force yourself to sit down and do a marketing task 2 to 3 times a week. It doesn't need to see the light of day. You don't have to show it to anyone, but you need to sit down and write an email newsletter, or create content, or shoot a video, or create a paid ad, or whatever, 2 or 3 times a week, or whatever can fit into your schedule, but you need to do it consistently and regularly to start to really get a feeling of how you feel about doing that task. Because if you think, oh, I would love to be a marketer, and then you sit down and you try and write an email and realize you absolutely despise writing email newsletters, you despise being on camera, you despise looking at paid ads, you actually hate everything about the task that you're doing, then you probably shouldn't go into marketing. And just passively reading a course about marketing isn't actually going to give you that visceral feeling of like disgust with writing emails. Usually when we're picking careers, we do it so blindly and at such a young age, and we usually just go for roles that we know that society has outlined for us. We don't sit and think about what our day-to-day will look like. We don't think about the tasks that we'll be doing. Does that actually sound like a task I want to do? So the whole point of this initial exercise is to get you to start doing those tasks in any kind of minor way possible and see what that sparks in you. Is it hate? Is it disgust? Or is it passion? Is it joy? Is it excitement? Obviously, for some jobs, this is way more difficult than others. If you're trying to be a surgeon, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, let me get my partner on the bed and just perform a minor little surgery on him. No, please do not do anything like that. But there are ways to try and experience what they might experience. Like in med school, we sometimes do stitches on like fruit, bananas and stuff like that. And if you really can't find a way to test it out, like you cannot find a way to test out being a surgeon or an astronaut or whatever it is you want to do, then try and watch videos of people who are already in that profession. Reading about it is often not enough. That's why I say if you're going to do the course, then try and do the task alongside it. Don't try and just read passively. Don't fall into the trap that just because you're brand new at it and that you're bad, it means that you hate it. Try and remove the expectations. Try and forget about whether it's good or bad. none of that matters. All that matters is, am I enjoying doing this right now? Once you've done that, you really should start to get a better idea of what kind of tasks are inspiring and exciting, and what kind of tasks you probably would hate doing. This is not perfect. This is not foolproof. Obviously, within every single job role, there are going to be tasks that you really dislike doing, and there are going to be tasks that you really love doing. It's not going to be a case of like 100% of the time, I love what I'm doing. Every single person on this earth, planet, no matter what they're doing, will dislike a part of their job role. The idea is just that for the main day-to-day tasks that you may be doing, like trying to understand like that main chunk of my work, would I actually enjoy doing that? Once you've done that with 2 or 3 different job roles, and this is why, again, keep the courses short so that you can do it with a couple of different job roles. Tune in to what feels exciting to you, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Here is where you'll want to invest a little bit more time and a little bit more energy and perhaps money to try and investigate further into this job role. You want to find a course that's a bit more in depth now. So let's say you decide, actually, I really loved writing some email newsletters. I want to explore this a little bit further. So then you go and find another course that is definitely more in depth than the first one that you did. And if you can find a course with a certificate or a project that you can deliver at the end of it, then brilliant, because you can definitely use that moving forward if you decide to actually go down that path. All the while with no pressure of having to make an immediate decision to quit your job right now and do this and do that and get a master's degree and get a PhD and like go all in on this new career. No, it's pressure free. We're just trying to figure out what we like and what we don't like. That's why I still don't recommend that you spend like £1,000 on this stage. You're not ready for that yet. You want to spend like 50 or whatever, but something that's a bit more in depth to give you a better idea of what it's like. You're going step by step, you're following your intrigue, you're following your curiosity, and you're following what brings you joy and excitement. And all of this, it cannot be passive. You cannot buy this course, let it sit there for a month, do 2 of the lessons, and then be like, oh, I give up. I can't find anything. I can't find a new job, a new career. No. You need to be active about this. I'm getting too passionate about this, I'm sorry. Once you finish that in-depth course or training, you really should have a better idea of how it's making you feel. If you're feeling like, God, that was incredibly boring, I can't see myself doing this every single day, then you have your answer. This is probably not the right role for you. If on the flip side, you're like, actually really want to learn more about this, like how can I find another course? How can I try and get some more training on this? How can I start looking for roles in this area? Then again, you have your answer. This is something that may be interesting for you and maybe you should look into further. And if it is something that excites you, then you can start making a plan. What can I do next? What's the next step? Let's research online. Let's see what I can actually do to get into that role. Maybe you even want to speak to someone in that role or start watching other videos and trying to just basically spend more time exploring this new path. And if after doing the in-depth course, you're like, not for me, then just go back a step and start again and pick another set of tasks or job roles that sparked curiosity and joy. So that's why there's no point spending £1,000. Try and keep it low and minimal because you're just still at the exploration stage. If you've gone through all of this and you're like, oh my God, I'm fascinated by marketing, I really want to go into this, I really would like to learn more about it, then you can think about, maybe I can put some more money towards training or whatever. But for the most part at this stage, until you're quite sure that something brings you excitement and that sounds like a good job role for you, please try not to spend too much money. And there you have it. Those 8 steps should start to give you a really clear idea of what you don't want to do and what it is that you actually would like to do. This is a much more in-depth, and for me anyway, I think, logical way of assessing if you want to dive into a new career or not. And it's not foolproof. I'm not saying this is magical and that it's going to help you find the most perfect, glamorous, amazing career that you love for the rest of your life. It's not foolproof. Obviously, you may go into the role and then after working there for a few months decide this is not for you. That's okay, that's fine. You can change your career from time to time. Like, it's not the end of the world if you do have to change from time to time to find what it is that you actually want to do. The idea really is just to help us make a bit more of an informed choice, because what you envision being a doctor might be like is definitely not what being a doctor is actually like. That's why so many medical students have to do lots of like work experience and placements to put on their applications before they're even accepted into medical school, because you need to experience what it's like before you make a big decision. And even then, it's quite hard to really know what it's really like. In any case, this is definitely a better way to make a more informed decision for yourself that actually genuinely excites you. And if you go into a new role that you feel excited for, you're much more likely to have a better time than if you're going into it with hesitation, with reluctance, and with kind of resentment. I really hope this video was useful for you. If you do end up doing this, please let me know in the comments below. I would really love to hear how it goes. I just really hope that you find a better role for yourself, because I've definitely been in that situation where I've hated my job and wanted to change it. And the only way to do that was to take action and be active about doing these steps. And these steps are exactly what I did, basically. And if you enjoyed this video and you thought, oh, I actually want to do that, but you're the type to also procrastinate, you can watch this video next. That will hopefully give you a little bit of a kick up the arse and get you to take some action. See you there.